15 accountants failed, but a poor delivery girl revealed a hidden truth that changed everything. Lily stood outside Maplewood's grocery store, her heart racing as she scanned the bright blue sky. It was the kind of day that made you believe anything was possible. At 17, she was not just a delivery girl, she was a beacon of hope for her family and the town. Working hard to juggle school and her part-time job, she felt the weight of her responsibilities but also the dreams shimmering just out of reach. Each day, she haunted the streets of her hometown, armed with not just bags of groceries but a burning desire to create a better life for her mom and 2 younger siblings. That fateful week, the town was buzzing with the news that 15 accountants had failed in their duties, leaving the community in turmoil. Rumors swirled around similar sentiments, echoed in hushed conversations during her deliveries. As Lily maneuvered her bicycle down Maplewood's cobblestone streets, she made mental notes, absorbed each expression: the worry, the fear, that tight-lipped resolve. One afternoon, while dropping off groceries at the library, she paused, catching fragments of a whisper. Neglected funds, that family should be known better. Lily's heart pounded. Who were they talking about? A pit formed in her stomach. She shifted her delivery bag, glancing over her shoulder, feeling compelled to know more. Shadows loomed outside the library, where the warmth inside contrasted with the frost settling in her mind. As she pedaled back home, thoughts raced through her head. Her mother always insisted that integrity mattered more than money, an unwavering principle that clashed with the self-serving motives of the influential townsfolk. They were respected, untouchable in many ways. But as whispers grew louder, igniting doubt in Lily's own heart, she summoned courage. She de-challenged the status quo. She had to. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Lily found unexpected allies in the dirtiest corners of the town, the tight-knit veterans whose sacrifices often went unrecognized. Together, they started piecing together a narrative that could unravel the myth behind one of Maplewood's most revered families. Each clue unfolded a deeper truth, and they discovered discrepancies that tied the town's financial troubles to the roots of the very family that many idolized. The tension reached a boiling point when Lily uncovered a shocking link, the realization tightening like a knot in her chest. As she prepared for the confrontation, she was approached by someone she never expected, a family member of the very name she was about to expose. Confusion blurred the line between duty and loyalty, darkening her resolve. With the town's fate dangling in the balance, Lily felt the murmurs of her community echoing in her ears. Would they support the truth, or would they cling to blind loyalty? The clock was ticking, and answers hung precariously, ready to tip the scales of justice in Maplewood. Lily stood in the dim light of the local cafe, a steaming cup of coffee in hand and her heart thrumming loudly in her chest. The warm scents of roasted beans and vanilla filled the air, but they did little to soothe the mix of anxiety and determination boiling within her. It was the day she had been dreading, and yet preparing for, ever since she uncovered the truth. Across the table, Sam, one of the veterans she had allied with, leaned forward, his voice a low whisper. You've got to decide, Lily. We can't keep going back and forth. The people need to know. His weathered face bore the weight of experience, his eyes filled with the kind of understanding that calmed raging storms. I know, she said, biting her lip as she looked around. The cafe buzzed with locals, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing just beneath their everyday lives. Rumors, half-truths, and fears hung heavily in the air. She had seen the way they tensed when conversations turned too close to the scandal involving the respected family of Maplewood. The accountant's failure had peeled back the curtain, exposing wounds that ran deep. Tell them, or let them fall into the deception. Either way, you're part of it, Sam encouraged, his tone firm but gentle. As she took a deep breath, the weight of potential betrayal settled in her chest. What if the people turned against her? What if she lost the only home she had ever known? But right behind those fears was a flicker of hope for justice, for her family, for everyone feeling the brunt of the deceit. Suddenly, the door swung open, and in walked Maggie, Lily's mother. Her face was drawn with exhaustion, but her smile lit up the room. "Lily! I've been looking for you!" she exclaimed, relief washing over her as she spotted her daughter. "I wanted to remind you that dinner's at 6. We're having your favorite." Lily's heart sank as her mother innocently strolled in, completely oblivious to the web of turmoil around them. "Mom," she began, but the words got stuck in her throat. She watched her mother's smile, the warmth radiating from her everything that home represented. "Is something wrong?" "You look troubled, sweetie," Maggie said, her brow furrowing with concern. "No, it's just, a lot has been happening in town," Lily replied, forcing a smile. "But I'll be home in time for dinner. Promise." Maggie's smile brightened as she nodded. "Good, okay then. Can't wait." As Lily watched her mother leave, she felt the determination hardening within her. She couldn't let her fear overshadow the truth. If she didn't speak up now, how could she live with herself? The path to justice was riddled with uncertainty, but it was one she had to take. Later that afternoon, Lily stood in front of the town hall, heart beating like a drum. Her breath came fast as she faced the small gathering that had formed. Faces she recognized, some smiling in encouragement, others clouded by skepticism. The murmur of voices sank into silence as she stepped to the front. "Everyone! I need you to listen!" she called, her voice trembling slightly but breaking through the noise. And as she prepared to share what she had discovered, she caught a glimpse of that family member from earlier, the one she never expected to see again. He was staring right back at her with a mixture of fear and caution in his eyes. This was it. She was crossing a line that could never be uncrossed. "What will they do to me if I speak the truth?" she wondered silently, the echo of her own question haunting her. The moment hung in the air, pregnant with both fear and possibility. Would she find the strength to speak? Or would doubt steal her voice away, shrouding Maplewood's truth in silence once again? Lily's breath caught in her throat as she looked into the familiar eyes of her estranged uncle, Thomas. Memories flooded her mind: summer barbecues, family gatherings, laughter before everything had fallen apart. Now he stood before her like a ghost from a past she had tried hard to forget. The crowd watched with rapt attention, a sea of faces eager for her words. She could feel the weight of their expectations pressing down on her, twisting her insides into knots. "What do I say?" The question spun like a top in her mind. "Lily!" Sam's voice cut through her haze. "You need to tell them." But could she? She glanced back at Thomas. His expression was unreadable, a mix of trepidation and urgency. Doubt churned within her. Could family ties cloud the truth? "Lily!" Someone from the crowd called, pulling her focus back. "We're with you." That simple show of support flicked a switch within her. "I discovered something," she stammered, taking a step closer to the edge of the podium. "Something not just about the accountants, but about what has been going on in this town." Her voice cracked slightly as she pushed through the fear. "Maplewood has been hiding secrets. Secrets about our own families." She felt her heartbeat thunder in her ears. This was it. The crowd murmured, a ripple of uncertainty surging through them. A sense of rebellion flickered in the air. "Many believe that this crisis was merely about money," she continued, her voice gaining strength, "but it's deeper than that. It's about trust that has been broken." The words rolled off her tongue like stones thrown into a still pond, sending ripples of realization through the crowd. But as she spoke, she could see Thomas shift uncomfortably. Doubt crawled back up her spine. Was he a part of this deception? Would he be angry if she revealed too much? Clenching her fists, she pressed on. "Our prosperity has come at a cost." Overlooked truths that hurt our community. "And I can't stand by while this happens." Thomas's gaze was intense, piercing, almost a silent warning. But so many people were in desperate need of answers. She couldn't turn back now. She owed it to them, just as much as she owed it to herself. Everyone in this room has felt the sting of betrayal. She took a deep breath, feeling lighter despite the weight of her words. We have a right to know. And I want to help uncover the truth. Together. A moment of stillness enveloped the crowd before it burst into murmurs and agreement. But before Lily could soak in the encouragement, Thomas stepped forward, a tightness in his jaw. You don't know what you're doing, Lily! His voice was low but edged with urgency. You could tear this family apart. Lily felt her stomach drop. Tear apart what? Lies? With her heart hammering, she needed to navigate this delicate balance. She couldn't afford to be scared. There were people counting on her. Do we want honesty, or do we want to continue living in a lie? She shot back, her voice steadying. I refuse to let fear win. But as she stood her ground, she saw the fear manifest in Thomas's eyes. What was he hiding? Was family worth more than the truth? As she prepared for what was to come next, a chill ran down her spine. Her resolve was solid, but the layers of deception were profound. Lily had sparked something that day, but a flurry of questions hung over the room. Would the chaos that followed her truth bring her family closer or destroy everything she loved? With the tension hanging thick in the air, she realized the real battle had just begun. What cost would she have to pay for her courage? The air crackled with intensity as Lily stood there, her heart racing. Each passing second felt like a lifetime, the weight of her decision looming larger than life. The murmurs from the crowd grew, a wave of anticipation and uncertainty that rolled over her. Take a breath, Lily, she whispered to herself, reminding herself that this was about more than just her. People needed direction, clarity. The truth was a messy thing, but it was necessary. She locked eyes with Thomas again, feeling a mix of fear and determination. Whatever history lay between them, this moment was hers to own. Uncle Thomas, she began, steadying her voice, I respect you as family. But I can't support silence anymore. Not when it's clear that things are unraveling. His face hardened. And you think revealing these secrets will make anything better? He asked, incredulous. Yes, she replied, emboldened by her conviction. How can we heal if we're still hiding? If we don't face the truth, we'll drown in our own denial. The crowd was listening intently now, faces filled with a blend of curiosity and fear. She could feel their collective energy, much like the swell before a storm. This wasn't just about her family anymore, it transcended that. It was about their future, their community. Remember what happened with the accountant's scandal? She continued, her tone rising above the crowd's whispers. It shattered trust across Maplewood. It's clear that the foundation of our town is rotting beneath us. We need to rebuild, but we can't do that without confronting our past. A woman in the audience nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. You're right. We can't just keep pretending everything is okay. Thomas stepped back, visibly shaken. You're playing with fire, Lily. You can't control what's coming next if you go down this road. Maybe, she shot back, her voice cracking, but it's a fire we need to face. It's better than crafting lies that slowly burn us from the inside. We'll never thrive if we can't be honest with one another. The energy shifted. People were whispering to each other, the tide was turning. Hope flickered in their gazes, as if the mere act of speaking truth set loose a power they hadn't felt in years. Lily! Sam called out, cheering her on, you've got this. His encouragement was electric, pulling more voices into the chorus. We believe in you. In that moment, she found clarity. This wasn't just about uncovering secrets. It was about empowering her community. If they could embrace the truth together, perhaps that could be the key to healing the rifts that had long plagued Maplewood. Together, we can form a new foundation. Lily shouted, her voice resonating with the fear and hope wrapped tightly in one. One of honesty and unity, where we aren't just survivors of our past but architects of our future. The applause built like thunder, ringing in her ears. The faces around her glowed with a renewed energy. They were no longer passive observers. But just as the crowd began to rally behind her message, a lone figure stepped from the shadows. It was Angela, the town's mayor, and her expression was dark. Lily, she started, her voice cutting through the cheers. Are you sure you want to take this path? There are consequences you can't even begin to imagine. Lily's heart raced again. Was this the moment she'd decross a line she could never return from? What was hidden in the darkness waiting to be unleashed? She took a deep breath, ready to face the storm she had started. I believe it's worth it, she declared with courage unapologetically blazing in her chest. But as Angela stepped closer, the tension shifted again, this time laced with danger. Would standing for the truth come at too high a price? The air held its breath, a fearsome calm settling as everyone waited to see just what kind of storm was about to break. The crowd thickened, their breaths suspended in curiosity. Lily felt every eye upon her, the weight of their hopes and fears intertwining with her courage. Angela loomed closer, her presence a tempest that threatened to uproot everything Lily had built in that moment. Lily, the mayor insisted, her voice now a low, steady growl. You think you're ready to spill secrets? Once you open that door, you can't close it again. Lives will be shattered. Families torn apart. Lily swallowed hard, her pulse quickening. Isn't that already happening? She shot back. Are we really living if we're pretending? We need to face what's been hidden for too long. It's the only way we can start fresh. Behind her, a murmur spread through the crowd, some nodding in agreement, others frowning in uncertainty. It was an uncomfortable truth. They had lived in fear of the shadows, fearless only in silence. Angela's face was lined with worry, her brow furrowing deeper. You're not the only one who can be hurt by the truth. Are you prepared for that? Her eyes flicked to the crowd as if gauging their reactions. What about the lives already broken by lies? Lily countered, her voice climbing over the rising tension. What about the families that sit in broken homes because of secrets? Several people shifted, their discomfort palpable. Lily could almost hear their thoughts clashing as they battled with the fear of change versus the longing for truth. Finally, an older man spoke up, his voice shaky yet clear. It's true. We've been living in a fog. Maybe it's time we clear the air. He stepped forward, shaking slightly, but his resolve was there. Inspired, Lily pressed on. If we join together, if we face this storm, we can heal. If we speak the truth, we can reclaim our lives. We owe it to ourselves to fight for the future we deserve. More voices began to emerge, hesitant but growing stronger. Yes. It's time. One woman shouted, her fists raised. Just as the energy surged, Angela raised a hand, silencing the crowd. Fine, Lulu, she said, a steely glint in her eyes. But you must understand, the truth may not just hurt, it can destroy. Are you willing to risk that? Are you ready for the backlash? Lily hesitated, the potency of Angela's words settling in. She had been riding high on the waves of support, but to stand against the very fabric of their community. Yes, she said finally, her determination rekindled. I'm ready. We need to take this leap for Maplewood. There, under the weight of collective expectancy, the air shifted once more. Hope battled with apprehension, but Lily's heart felt lighter. She had spoken her truth. Then something sparked in the crowd. A woman stepped forward, holding a faded photograph. This is my sister, she announced, her voice trembling. She disappeared years ago, after the accountant's scandal. I never understood why. I want answers. The revelation hung in the air, heavy and electric. The crowd murmured, the shift palpable. What other secrets have we hidden? Someone whispered. That one photograph had ignited a fire. Lily could feel the energy swell. The storm wasn't coming, it was already here, ready to break wide open. Let us unearth the truth together, Lily declared, the words spilling from her heart, full of hope and fear. But as the crowd began to rally once more, the tension coiled tightly in the air until it felt like a taut string. What other truths lay buried beneath their past? What other lives had been changed? As Lily looked at the fearful yet determined faces around her, she knew she had set into motion a reckoning that would shake them all to their core. But was she truly prepared for the darkness that awaited them? The answer felt just as murky as the secrets they were about to uncover. Lily's heart raced as the photograph was passed through the crowd, the woman's voice still echoing in her mind. "I want answers." The words held a weight she couldn't shake off. Could a simple piece of paper really hold the key to unlocking years of heartache? The atmosphere was charged, alive with uncertainty and fragile hope. Faces shifted from disbelief to curiosity, and she could sense the room's energy shifting. It was like the night sky before a storm, waiting, anticipating, and electric with potential. Angela stood there, lips pressed tight, her gaze flickering between Lily and the crowd. "You're diving into something you might not be able to swim out of, Lily. The truth can cut deep," she warned, but her authority seemed to waver in the face of community battle cries. Lily glanced around, grounding herself in the moment. Each person who spoke had their own pain, their own story, and somehow, they were all tied to her mission. "I know it's scary. I know some of us are afraid of what we might find. But look at these faces, they are searching for something more than just everyday life." As she spoke, people were standing a little taller, leaning a little closer, and nodding in agreement. Lily could feel the swell of emotions rising. Hope was thick in the air. "Together, we will be the light in the dark. For families like hers." Pointing at the woman still clutching the photograph, she felt a flicker of intensity building, like a flame passing from one person to the next. The eldest man stepped forward again, a glimmer of defiance in his eyes. "I lost my brother in the chaos that followed that scandal. It's time we all face the truth." With that, the crowd erupted into a chorus of agreement. "Let us find out what happened. The truth matters." Each voice was a brick in the foundation of solidarity they were building. "It's not just about unsolved mysteries," another voice added. "It's about us, about our children growing up in a town that needs healing." Lily's throat tightened with emotion. All these people were stepping out of the shadows, finally ready to confront the past together. But deep down, she felt a flicker of fear. Could they handle whatever lay beneath the surface? "Let us set a date," someone suggested, enthusiasm flooding the group. "A town meeting. Everyone must come. We can lay everything out, confront the lies." Lily nodded, swallowing hard against the mounting pressure. "Yes, a town meeting. We'll bring forward everything we've kept silent about. Together, we will be brave." A thunderous cheer erupted, and tears stung Lily's eyes. She hadn't anticipated this level of support. But each heartbeat felt heavier with the knowledge of the truths that might be laid bare. What if the secrets revealed fractured friendships, families? What if the truths were uglier than they imagined? Just as excitement veered toward optimism, an unfamiliar voice broke through the roar of the crowd. "But what if there are those who don't want the truth to come out?" A tall man stepped into view, his voice calm but heavy with consequence. "What if some of us have something to lose?" That single question turned the tide once more. The energy shifted, uncertainty draped over the crowd like a shroud. Silence inched its way in, and for a moment, fear wrapped itself tightly around every heart present. Lily felt a chill, the weight of dread settling over her. Was their pursuit for truth already courting danger? She glanced at Angela, seeing hints of worry knitting her brow. They had ignited a flame. Could they keep it from burning everything down? The crowd was electric, alive with possibility, but shadows lurked at the fringes. What was hidden, waiting to be discovered? And at what cost? Lily took a deep breath, her eyes scanning the sea of faces all spark and vulnerability. Whatever happened next would be a journey into the unknown. But one thing was crystal clear: they were committed to finding out the truth. Together. As a community. Yet Lily couldn't help but wonder, did they truly understand what they were ready to face? What lines would they cross? As tension crept back into the air like a settling fog, there was one pressing thought: what if the truth, when it finally emerged, was something none of them were prepared to confront? The town meeting was set for the following Wednesday, a week away. The nervous energy buzzed like static, palpable in the hearts of everyone as they left the gathering. Lily walked home, her mind racing with possibilities. Every step felt heavier, like she was carrying the weight of history on her shoulders. What shadows had settled over these streets, and what truths were tangled within them? She arrived at her small apartment, flinging her bag onto the worn-out couch. The photograph was still fresh in her mind, how it had trembled in that woman's hands, a symbol of both sorrow and strength. Lily couldn't shake the woman's haunting gaze or the desperation she felt. "I want answers," the phrase echoed repeatedly, an unbidden mantra. Sinking into a chair, she looked out the window. The sun had begun to dip beneath the horizon, colors swirling like a watercolor painting. It was beautiful, yet unnerving, signifying the end of a day and the unknown of what lay ahead. She feared what the light might reveal, but also, she hoped it would illuminate paths they hadn't seen before. Angela's words lingered in her mind. "The truth can cut deep." What if it sliced more than just the fabric of their quiet town? It had the power to unravel friendships, strangle hopes, and shatter illusions. Silence wrapped around the thought, and she found herself almost gasping. "Perhaps I should back out," she whispered to the fading light, knowing full well that was a lie, even to herself. The following days were a blur of planning and navigating a swell of growing anxiety. Word of the meeting spread like wildfire. The week leading up to it felt both exhilarating and terrifying. Each conversation she had brought a fresh wave of uncertainty, mixed with camaraderie. At work, she could sense the tension buzzing beneath casual clicks of keyboards and the scent of coffee. But with each passing day, so too did the undercurrent of fear grow. A couple of people whispered words of warning. "You don't know who you're messing with," they said in hushed tones. "Some folks will do anything to keep their lives hidden." Yet deep down, she felt a flicker of something else: courage. The courage to face the truth, to face whatever lurked in the shadows of their past. Wednesday arrived, full of anticipation that crackled in the air. The town hall, usually a place for mundane meetings and cheerful functions, felt different. It was alive, suffused with hope and uncertainty. The flicker of anxiety and determination danced in the eyes of those who gathered. When Lily stepped into the building, the sheer weight of it all surged through her veins. The crowd filled the room, a sea of faces painted with a mix of fear, hope, and curiosity. The moment she stepped onto the small stage, a hush fell over the chatter. "Thank you all for coming," Lily said, finding strength in their eyes. "What we're seeking isn't just answers. It's understanding. It's a chance to heal." Her heart pounded, each beat echoing in her ears. As she spoke, the tension began to unravel slightly. People leaned forward, drawn in by the emotion thrumming through her voice, a blend of passion and vulnerability. And just as she thought she was getting through, a voice from the back cut through the air, sharp and unyielding. "We all have secrets, Lily. What makes you think we can handle the truth?" The challenge hung in the air, pregnant with implications. Lily felt her cheeks flush, the murmurs of agreement rippling through the crowd. What if this was too much for them? What if stepping into the light meant plunging into darkness instead? But there was strength here too, a community ready to dig deeper. She could sense it. "I believe we can," she countered, her voice firm, fueled by conviction. The murmurs settled into silence, an unseen force binding them together. Change was brewing, and no one would back down. A ripple of determination flickered. But as much as she wanted to feel buoyed by their collective spirit, one question lingered like a storm cloud: what would the truth do to them all? In that moment, she realized. Even in the face of fear, secrets were already whispering, threatening to unravel everything. As the first volunteer stepped forward, she knew they were on the precipice, a point of no return. What awaited them on the other side? The silence in the town hall was thick, heavy with anticipation. Lily's heart raced. She could see the first volunteer hesitating, darting anxious glances around the room. It was a young man, someone she recognized from her neighborhood. His hands trembled slightly as he stood, shifting on his feet. At that moment, he had the entire room's focus. My name is Jacob," he began, his voice a rough whisper. "I've been thinking a lot about the past few years and everything that has happened. I guess I just wanted to say that." He faltered, the weight of his admission settling like a fog. Lily felt a collective breath being drawn in, all eyes glued to him. She remembered how hard it was when she first took the leap to speak up. Suddenly, she felt the urge to encourage him. "It's okay, Jacob. Take your time," she offered gently, nodding her head as she projected warmth into the crowd. Jacob swallowed hard. Thank you? So my parents were friends with the Johnsons before everything fell apart. I heard things, whispers about that night. I don't know if it'll help anyone, but he took a deep breath, visibly trying to muster his courage. I know there were arguments the kind people try to forget. The crowd shifted, murmurings bouncing around like pinballs. Lily could hardly sit still, she felt a fire igniting between them all. Every sentence peeled back another layer of their pristine lives and revealed the messy humanity underneath. Jacob, you're doing great, Lily encouraged again, her spirit lifting with his burgeoning honesty. His story unfolded, each word heavier than the last. They were fighting about money, about secrets. I overheard my father say something about a ledger, something that should have been kept quiet. I didn't know what it meant back then, but his voice cracked, and he paused briefly. What if that ledger holds the truth? What if it shows how things went so wrong? A ripple of shock passed through the crowd. Lily looked around, catching faces that mirrored her own disbelief and curiosity. This was the moment all had been waiting for, yet it felt like a noose tightening around their collective necks. More voices chimed in, everyone suddenly willing to contribute. Stories spilled out like rain, each one fed the growing storm of revelations. There were confessions about estranged family members, lost friendships, and lies told to protect themselves from the painful truth. It was profoundly cathartic and daunting all at once. As people spoke, a thread of connectivity wove through the room. They were all raw with emotion, yet there was a flicker of relief mingled with fear. Hope danced in their eyes as they grappled with choices they never thought they'd confront. Lily couldn't shake the weight of that one question. What would happen when the dam finally broke? Lost in her thoughts, she almost missed when an older woman stood up, her expression steely yet deeply conflicted. But what if the truth tears us apart? What if it's more than we can bear? The woman's words hung like heavy smoke, seeping into every corner. In that instant, Lily realized they were teetering on a cliff. And they were all scared, terrified of what they might discover about each other and themselves. The truth, while liberating, could just as easily become their downfall. The atmosphere buzzed with urgency. It was clear, each second mattered now. They were charged with a responsibility not just to themselves but to one another. Could they face whatever shadows loomed? Or would they let the fear of discovery hold them captive? Lily glanced at the clock, anxiety swelling. I'll go next, she said suddenly, steeling herself. I have something to share. Something that's haunted me for far too long. Just as she took a step forward, a loud crash echoed from the back of the room. Everyone froze, eyes wide as the door burst open, revealing a figure silhouetted in the stark lights, a messenger from the outside world. What was about to come next? The room couldn't hold its collective breath any longer. Secrets and truths felt like the air, they could be suffocated or set free. But one thing was certain, the night was far from over. What revelation would the intruder bring, and how would it change everything? The figure stepped forward, their face obscured in the dim light, but the tension in the room was palpable. Everyone held their breath, wondering who had come crashing into their moment of truth. Was it someone from the outside world, or perhaps a familiar face that might offer support? I'm sorry for barging in like this, the figure stammered, pulling back her hood to reveal a young woman with wide, frightened eyes. I didn't mean to interrupt. I have something important to say. Lily recognized her instantly, Amber, the delivery girl from the cafe down the street. They had exchanged greetings, but Lily had never imagined such a simple worker could suddenly command their attention. Her heart raced as Amber's eyes darted around the room. Please, I know you're all talking about the truth, and I didn't think it was my place to speak up, but Amber paused, taking a shaky breath. But I overheard something, a conversation while I was making a delivery. The room became a vacuum. Even the walls seemed to listen, holding their breath along with the crowd. Lily felt the weight of the moment pressing on her shoulders. Was Amber about to offer a revelation that would finally shed light on their tangled past? The mere possibility sent shivers down her spine. Just last week, I delivered to Mr. Thompson's house, Amber continued, her voice rising amidst the tension. You know, the accountant who used to work with the Johnsons. They were really arguing about something called the ledger. A gasp echoed from somewhere in the crowd. It felt like a spark igniting a dry field. More murmurs arose as people leaned in, eyes narrowing in fascination and dread. I heard Mr. Thompson talking about how much he regretted what happened on that night, Amber continued. He said something like it wasn't just the family drama. It was tied to that ledger. Lily's heart pounded hard in her chest, each beat resonating with the uncertainty brewing in the room. What do you mean, tied to that ledger? She urged, her voice a mix of hope and fear. Amber hesitated, clearly battling her own apprehensions. He mentioned names and secrets that could ruin lives. He sounded terrified about what could happen if others found out. The air thickened with unease, and Lily felt the familiar weight of fear creeping back. Everyone was now looking at one another, thoughts racing. What kind of secrets lay hidden? And who would be affected? What kind of secrets? Someone finally asked, breaking the heavy quiet. Amber swallowed, her expression shifting from dread to determination. I don't know all the details, but I think that ledger holds more than just numbers. It could reveal the truth behind the Johnsons' downfall. I'm sure of it. That sentence hung in the air. It was as if the world had shattered and reassembled in a split second. Every person in the room felt the ripples of her words. They were all connected to the aftermath of the Johnsons' tragedy in one way or another. And in that moment, the tension reached its peak. A collective realization settled among them: the truth might not only lead to answers but could also drag them into a tumultuous reality they weren't ready to face. As Amber's words sank in, Lily felt an electric jolt of possibility. It was a call to action, an invitation to plunge deeper into the mysteries buried within their town. They couldn't just back away now. Then we need to find that ledger, Lily said, her voice growing stronger, rallying the crowd. We need answers, no matter how painful. But before they could react, a shadow loomed at the door again. This time, it was an individual they recognized, a figure who'd been linked to the dark unraveling of their community. What did this newcomer want? The night was far from over, and with it, another layer of truth waited to be unwrapped, leaving everyone breathless with anticipation. Would they be brave enough to confront it? The townsfolk glanced uneasily at one another as the door creaked open once more. A figure stepped inside, an unmistakable presence that stole the breath from the room. It was the town's mayor, Angela, and her typically composed demeanor was replaced with something less certain, a flicker of fear, perhaps. You shouldn't be here, someone called out from the back, barely a whisper but loud enough for Angela to catch. She held up her hands, a sign of calm. Please listen. I came because something has come to light. The situation is worse than any of you realize, far darker than the whispers you've let grow. Lily felt the bottom drop out of her stomach as murmurs rippled through the crowd. Questions hung between them, thick like smoke. What did Angela know? What could crush their fragile unity? It's about the ledger, Angela began, her voice trembling slightly. I tried to protect you all from the fallout, but this is beyond my control now. There are forces at play that could change everything. And some of the names on that ledger, they're more dangerous than you know. Lily's heart raced. This was at the moment of truth they had been working toward, but it felt like the ground beneath them was ready to give way. What are you saying? She demanded, fighting to keep her voice steady, though uncertainty tangled in her gut. I'm saying it's time to decide how much you want to know. This ledger could expose deep-rooted corruption. It involves families, powerful ones, Angela replied, her voice a mix of urgency and fear. The weight of her words hit the crowd like a tidal wave. The gravity of what lay ahead became palpable in the air, making it hard to breathe. But they couldn't back down now. They had already stepped too far into the light. Lily could see the flickers of resolve blooming among her neighbors. She stepped forward, feeling the collective heartbeat of the crowd. We need to find it. We need to know the truth, no matter the cost. The fire sparked in her chest ignited in others too, as murmurs of agreement surged through the crowd once more. Eyes lit with determination, and hope began to rise like a tide lapping against the shore. But that flame of hope was met with a chilling retort. You're willing to put everyone at risk for a secret? Do you realize what you're asking for? A voice shot out. It was Thomas, Lily's uncle, standing at the back, his body tense like a coiled spring. This isn't just about you, Lily. This is about our families, our lives. What lives? Lily shouted back, a mixture of anger and fear coursing through her. We've been living a lie. How can we come together if we're chained to the past? He flinched, the anger in his eyes mingling with something more profound. And if the truth shatters the families involved? It'll hurt more than help. There's a reason some things are buried. Angela interjected, a pained glimmer in her eye. Thomas is right. If we dive into this, the damage could last generations. We have to be careful. We need to take a risk. Lily insisted, her voice resolute. If we uncover the truth, we can choose to heal. Together. But just as support began to build around her, a storm cloud settled back in. What if we don't want the truth? Another voice emerged, shaking. What if it tears us apart? Lily felt the fire flickering. Doubt seeped in. Had she really considered the consequences? But then she thought of Amber, Jacob, the woman with the photograph, each of them deserving answers. Do you want to live in fear? Lily challenged. Or do you want a chance at an honest life? Trust can't grow in the shadows. The crowd buzzed with indecision, the weight of their choice wrapping around them. Would they dare face the shadows together, or shy away from revelations that could shatter everything? In the climax of emotion, Angela took a step back, 2 fingers pressed against her lips. As your mayor, it's my duty to protect the town. But as your neighbor, I see what you see. This is your home, and home must be built on truth. With her words, the spell of fear began to break. There was still hesitation in the room. But Lily saw hope flashing in eyes full of resolve. If we stand united, we can survive the consequences of uncovering the truth, she proclaimed. But we must make this decision together. Not just for us, but for every person in Maplewood who has felt forgotten. One by one, hands rose in support, reluctantly at first, then with more confidence. They were ready to meet whatever storms lay ahead. The mirage of doubt started to dissipate, revealing fierce determination. The final decision was made, and they resolved together to search for that ledger, to break free from the chains their silence had forged. As Lily felt the powerful current of unity surge through her, one resonating thought echoed in her mind. Sometimes the bravest act of all is not just to fight the darkness, but to bring the community together to face the dawn of truth. And at that moment she knew that whatever shadows lurked within Maplewood, they would face them not as individuals, but as a family. Now it was time to act. Lily's heart swelled with hope as she summoned her courage, ready to lead them into the unveiling of their past. But as she walked to the front of the room again, something unfathomable settled in the air, the calm before the storm that they were about to uncover. The stakes were high, but for the first time, it felt like Maplewood was ready to reclaim its destiny. Please remember, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support for more riveting stories like this. Don't wait not even one more second to share this journey with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. And while you're at it, leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your engagement truly matters. Let us keep this momentum going. What did you think of this ending? Comment your feelings below. Your voice matters, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say.